Giving a requel to Halloween clearly worked, and giving a requel to Scream clearly worked, so it was time to give another requel to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Cause you know what they say, the 7,000th time is the charm? What? After nearly 50 years of hiding, Leatherface returns to terrorize a group of idealistic young friends who accidentally disrupt his carefully shielded world in a remote Texas town. But before I properly start with my review for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, now streaming on Netflix, I want you to start the conversation in the comments below and let me know your thoughts on it. And if you like movies and TV, this is the place to be, so consider clicking that subscribe button so you don't miss any future conversation on your favorite movies and TV. I have not suffered through all the reboots and reimaginings of the original film, or at least I've been leading to believe I would suffer if I watched them. I literally only watched the original right this morning before watching this new one, and I feel the pain of everyone who is passionate about that original film, or everyone who is passionate about any of the other films that came after it, because this is the kind of pointless remake that offers nothing new. I call it a remake because the lines are very blurred throughout this film. It presents itself as this sequel to the original, where they talk about the original survivor, Sally, the only one that left that movie alive other than Leatherface, you know. But other than that, the film plays with Leatherface's backstory and origins very loosely. It's not a film that, from the original to now, tries to unveil new layers to him, give him meaning, give him motivation. No, this is just a murderer. This is just a crazy guy that wears people's faces, and that's it. So in that regard, the film doesn't do too much to ruin his reputation or his mystique per se, but as it's presenting itself as a sequel to that original, it doesn't really add up. The elements and the continuity of the story doesn't really mesh or mix well whatsoever. Beyond that, we got a plethora of problems that come down to the script, but it is not an absolutely devoid of any quality whatsoever film. It's actually shot quite nicely. The cinematography is quite good in this film, with its use of lighting, use of interesting visuals, sometimes to tell a story. Particularly, it comes down to use of lighting and shadows, and use of the environment. I've seen a ton of people saying that there are some cool kills in this film. I didn't see any of them. I saw one. The last kill in this film, without any spoilers, is really cool. Other than that, it's all very mundane, very standard, very watchable. It's not like they're bad kills, it's just not anything that I have not seen before. But for instance, there's one kill where you got these like saloon doors where you open them up, you know, and you got them going back and forth, and on the other side of that, you have someone dying slowly and slowly, and so that's an interesting visual. And then the way the film plays with colors, light, it's just really well handled. Whether they use color correction in post, it just looks good. There's that famous scene you've seen on the trailers on the bus with these gorgeous blue neons, and I love my neon, so that's visually pleasing. Honestly, what really sucks is that the best thing you can say about this film is that there is some competence behind the camera when it comes to the visuals. They're competently composed, the shots, you can understand what is on camera. It's never quite too dark, but everything else just crumbles all those qualities to the ground, to be honest. It's also a gruesome movie. You'll get your violence, you'll get your gore. This is a gore fest. Clearly a ton of that gore is post-production. A ton of this blood is CGI. It wasn't on the film, it wasn't on while they were shooting. You can tell the visual effects work on there, and that takes a little bit of it away from me. Other than that, other than having some cool visuals that allow the story to be told, you know, visually, like movies should do, this is a chore to get through at 1 hour and 23 minutes, so not too long, and if I'm not mistaken, exactly the runtime of the original. this film feels pointless and it's hard to watch because you're not rooting for anyone. In these kind of slashers where it's basically a survival horror where you want and you need to attach to at least one character that you want to root for. So you want to root for them to survive, to get out of this thing. And you can't root for anyone. I didn't find characters to be like super unlikable. Like I've seen some people talking about how the characters in this are super unlikable. I didn't find them to be particularly unlikable, but I didn't find anything to like about him either. There are characters that are unlikable for sure. This one character, Melody, I believe her name was. See, I don't even remember the names of the characters anymore because they didn't leave an impact. She and her partner come into this town trying to impose their will and having everything and everyone play by their own rules. And you can say that that is kind of the point of the film, that comes exactly back to haunt them. But I'm not rooting for Leatherface. I need to root for the people that are being haunted by Leatherface. So when you make those characters not likable, when you give them no discernible motivations to understand, to relate to find compelling whatsoever, this film is just gonna overall ring hollow. Hardcore horror fans will be able to appreciate the kills in this film, but at its core, this is a tried and true story that is just being recycled and redone again without adding anything new in its desperate attempt to try and stay relevant. But what truly makes it so hard to root for these characters is that their decision making is absolutely dumb. It's utterly nonsensical, and when you have this level of dumb and stupid, honestly, it's hard to root for people when they make these decisions that are just dictated by script. The scene in the bus where Leatherface is just killing a bunch of folks, but there's like 20 people on there. He's attacking one of them at one point. The other 20 people jump on top of him. Try something. Don't just stand there yelling and screaming without doing anything. Even the return of Sally feels pointless when you look at it in the grand scheme of things. It's like they looked at Halloween 2018 and thought, what if Laurie Strode, but stupid? And it mixes in all these elements that conceptually have proven themselves to work, particularly in the horror genre with the two examples I gave right away in this video. It's like mixing in all these elements while following a recipe that you've seen can give great results, but mixing them all in the wrong way with no passion, no flair, no distinct personality. In a gore-fest attempt to revitalize this already super dead franchise, they forgot to give it a story to back it up. I don't need films like this to have these like super complex stories, but at least give me some likable characters. Give me someone I can see a little bit of myself in, or at least that I can see a human being in, just so I can relate to them on some basic level. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a sloppy and misguided rehash of every single version of this film that you've already seen before. It's pointless, it offers nothing new, and it lacks any sense of cohesion and logic. I'm giving Texas Chainsaw Massacre a D-. But those are really my thoughts on Texas Chainsaw Massacre, so I want you to start the conversation in the comments below, and if you like what you saw here, click that subscribe button so you don't miss any future conversation on your favorite movies and TV. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to my channel members Bruna and Stuart for making this video possible, and there's a link in the description to see if you want to become a member, and I'll be back very soon with more reviews, and tomorrow the new podcast this week in Geek starts, where we'll talk about Uncharted. There's already a review for that as well on my channel. So until the next one, love each other and love the movies.